And we are now joined by Amrit Dugun, former senior Indian diplomat on the show. Welcome, Amrit ji, to DD India News Hour. The Trump administration justifies its strikes against drug cartels as armed conflicts with terrorist groups. But the US Congress says President Trump needs to obtain congressional approval for such military action surpassing 60 days. Where does the truth lie?
Against Mr. Maduro, who is basically, we can say, since he has been in power since the death of his predecessor and mentor, Mr. Hugo Chavez, has been in power in Venezuela and two times in the elections which was held. He was, of course, Mr. Chavez's vice president. Upon his death, he got that privilege to become president. And then in the two elections were very highly disputed. One in 2019 when Mr. Gudillo was supposed to have been elected and is gone on exile. And the elections which were held in July last year, where again the opposition candidate, Mr. Gonzalez, was, by others were declared winners. So, US and Venezuela have been in loggerheads. US has, lured under President Trump, the bounty, which used to be $25 million, has been raised to $50 million. So that, some of the senior army officers under whom the Venezuelan Mr. Maduro gets his legitimate support, to control the country in spite of so much dissident. So there is a truth also that he wants Mr. Maduro to be out, and that this is a high time because he is likely to be 6 years in power since being declared a winner last year in Venezuela. So and in this time, the Russia and the Chinese have increased their presence in Venezuela, which is supposed to have the largest oil reserves in the world, but the production has gone down since a lot of US sanctions, and Iran has a presence in Venezuela. If I'm not mistaken, they have a drone building facility, which after the appeal of Mr. Maduro, after feeling the heat from President Trump, he is trying to rake in to upgrade that facility. Also, Venezuela, of course, their Sols group has been accused of being a big drug cartel. It also coincidentally happened that the nephew of the wife of Mr. Maduro, were supposed to have been caught in dealing drugs off the coast of Port-au-Prince or some time back, and they were extradited to US for trial. So there are on both sides, but at the same time, the other neighboring country of Venezuela, which is Colombia, with which US has had very good relations, especially in tackling the drug cartels of Mr. Escobar. One was very famous, who is no more now. But in order to not to target Mr. Maduro per se, the current president of Colombia, Mr. Pedro, has also been sanctioned by US, to as if look a long war. So it's mostly US is building as a larger fight against the drug in the Caribbean, but the underlying current clearly seems that Mr. Maduro somehow, if he can be ousted from power, because he's into too much of policies which are definitely anti-American. So it's a very complex game going on, and the US internal politics where Mr. Trump is seen to be taking a lot of unilateral action. So this is an event. The Congress doesn't want the US to seem to be looking as hegemonistic in the region, because there are so many small Latin American and Caribbean countries who are also keenly watching this. You know, there this in the pretext of fighting against drug. You know, whether Mr. Maduro per se is being targeted or for being removed. So if they allow US to go ahead with that, then they could be the next target. No?
Okay. Ambassador Amrit, why has President Trump taken such a strong line against drug smuggling from Latin America, even deploying the US's largest aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford? What are the stakes here for the US?
Yeah, the stakes, of course, as number one to keep off the rising powers, especially China and the anti-truck U.S. powers like Russia and Iran. You know, to out of the backyard of U.S. we can say it has been there since Monroe Doctrine and. When USSR was very powerful, previous to the current Russia, we also had a lot of crisis in Cuba, where Fidel Castro was tried very hard to be removed. Of course, it was not successful. And the Cuba is still, you know, very much socialist and anti-US even after demise of Fidel Castro. So US is seeing Mr. Chavez since early 2000s, and now Mr. Maduro digging heel in Venezuela, and Venezuela compared to Cuba is much bigger, much more resource rich. So they want to stand and US wants to ensure that this country also does not go out of hand. The second point is that Mr. Maduro, maybe because of overreach, their neighboring country of Guyana. Guyana has now discovered a lot of oil, and a lot of US companies are now involved there in offshore oil exploration and production in Guyana. So historically, the region of Guyana bordering Venezuela, we call Escobar region, is now being claimed by Mr. Maduro in a more forthright manner compared to earlier times. So this is also giving a handle to US and President Trump to intervene that the sovereignty of Guyana does not remains intact as a country of Guyana, and the plan of Mr. Maduro that Escobar region belongs to Venezuela should go ahead any time. Though of course no international decision has been made whether the region it belongs to Venezuela or not.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot at stake here as far as oil is concerned. Thank you very much, Amrit Loganji, for being with us on DD India News Hour.